name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and welcome to drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. You know who I am, and that's not important right now. What you may also know, if you don't know, is that I'm here with Mr. John Boyd from the Peace Industry Music Group, and we are here to talk about a new compilation piece that he's put together that really celebrates Black power, celebrates the Black community, celebrates the B1 space as it is. So I want to ask my friend John, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing good. I'm glad
Good,
to be
good,
here.
good.
Glad
Well,
to
great to see you, and welcome to everybody in the chat. As you come in, please hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe if you haven't done it yet, and shout out the city that you're from. Let us know what city you're from. Christopher Green says, "Great work, Mr. John Boyd. It was my pleasure meeting and seeing you in the flesh, as well as a great family." Yeah, a lot of y'all saw Mr. Boyd and his amazing family, the group Infinity song. You saw the perform at the last All Black National Convention, where they just took it to another level. It was an amazing experience, and I have a lot of admiration and respect for this family as well as Mr. Boyd. And so, Mr. Boyd, you were telling me that you have something in the works that you think everybody's going to love. Tell us about that.
yeah, this is a music collection that I'm spearheading. Actually, it was inspired by the work of Dr. Claude Anderson, and it's built around Black empowerment, Black affirmation in terms of how we are an exceptional and a special people. And along those lines, so there's actually a song on the first compilation dedicated to Dr. Anderson called Samson's War Cry. And
Hmm.
Samson is his favorite Bible character.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah, I have been in the music industry for over 20 years, and specifically with Rock Nation. This We're going on our seventh year, and so I have a sense of not only the business and label side of the industry, but also the production side. As I've not only developed my children, but I have worked as a producer for many years. So this gives me an opportunity to really share some of my production expertise with the Black community specifically, but everybody in general. And I'm very excited about this project. And we have been working on it since February 15th, and we got over 5 months in to its development. It's coming out really good.
Now let me ask you this: so, what drove you to to do this project? I mean, what is it? What do you feel that could be captured, say, in making an album that might not be captured in some other approach, or what was it that drove you to want to do this particular type of expression?
Well, I just see that there's a great need and demand for music that covers the spectrum of music that really relates to the Black experience, especially the Black conscious experience. That and uh, Interestingly, it fell in my lap as a result of talking to Dr. Anderson one day, and we were talking because uh, he had a relationship. I connected him to Kanye West, and I attempted to connect him to Rock Nation, and things weren't materializing or happening as quickly as we hoped. So I talked to him about me stepping in and seeing what I can do as a producer and lending my skills and my abilities to really address some of the things that he addressed through his career in terms of Black empowerment. And the initial idea was to uh, translate his legacy into musical form, and that was the original thought. Over time, it evolved. So now we have a collection called the Black Heritage Music Collection, and it does incorporate some of his philosophy in musical form, but it's more of a general approach that incorporates, uh, you know, the philosophies of Black champions as a whole, and we're looking forward to continuing to honor Dr. Anderson through this work. So it's a very innovative work, and it is a work that will be a big part, in my opinion, of the music scene in that specific area, meaning the Black conscious area, in
Hmm.
terms of translating some of those ideas into musical form.
Okay. Well, everybody, I'm speaking with Mr. John Boyd from the Peace Industry Music Group, and we are talking about a new compilation album that he put together that really captures the essence of Black empowerment and the movement that we're all a part of. And if you haven't done it yet, please hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. And also, I wanted to jump right in and ask Mr. Boyd, in terms of consciousness and what it means to be Black and everything else like that. Do you think that there's sort of a lack of understanding that we have as a people in terms of how great we are, meaning that we go to school and we are not taught the things that we need to know about ourselves? A lot of Black people don't even know who Marcus Garvey is. They never heard of
Right,
him. And I think that's a crime. I think that there's so many. Forget, and let's not even talk about names like Dr. Claude Anderson and things like that. And it's almost like when people find out about Dr. Anderson, they kind of just wake up and freak out. You and I both know how Kanye West reacted when he found out about Powernomics. I mean,
right.
it just really captures imagination. We know how Ice Cube reacted. A lot of people react that way. So, what do you think might be some steps where we can make sure that our people are aware of who their true heroes are, so they don't spend so much time worshiping or looking up to fake heroes?
Right. I think the vehicle of music, it really gives us a fresh opportunity, and we want to shout out, and honor the people that have worked in this area musically, artistically in the past, because I'm not the first. But I think that there are too few of us, and I think this is going to give us a new opportunity to really develop this space even more in this generation. But I think part of the problem is it just with like film, the way the financial structure is that these entities that had a head start on financing and capital uh, really were the principal investors into our talent and into our art. So it's really hard to ask other people to give you full control in telling your story and singing your song. If you want to have total control in telling your story and singing your song the way you want to sing it with the lyrics that you want in it, you have to finance it yourself. And so this project has been, for the most part, financed by Black people. We started a company to support our initiative called Black Team Sport Enterprises. Again, building on the philosophy of Dr. Anderson, Black Team Sport, he was the one that really uh, preached the thesis that Black people need to learn how to compete in the economy with like it's a team sport, and economic achievement is a team sport. So uh, that's the new label that we formed, and we've been building our own audience and our own support system so that we can control the narrative, and we can control uh, really how the music is developed and how the music is distributed. Uh, that's the missing piece to the puzzle, and we have to continue on that side of the equation if we want to be really controllers of our narrative. So
Mhm.
this is really something that I know you're passionate about, and I'm definitely passionate about. And like I said, we have our own media outlets, our own distribution. We put these pieces to the puzzle together. There's no reason why we can't really develop a music label that's dedicated to our people and preserving the narrative, and and really reshaping the music industry so that it really serves our best interests culturally, educationally, and all the other categories that really serve Black people.
Well, actually, before I'm going to ask a question, I think my Wi-Fi is acting a little weird. I'm in a different location. Did you lose me for a second there? Mr.
No,
Floyd?
no, no, I got you. I can
Oh,
hear
okay,
you.
great. Then I won't say. Then I'll act like everything's perfect then. So you can hear me and
Mm.
see me. Everybody in the chat, give me a yes in the chat if you can hear me and see me okay. Because we just got another house and we're checking it out and it's you know you're moving a new house, weird things happen.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
so let's talk about this then. When you talk about the music industry, we know the impact of the music industry, and I don't disagree that that we need our own distribution, our own finance, and our own everything. How do you pull that off in a way where we're not trying to replicate what the regular music industry does? Meaning that I've seen people say, "Hey, we want to make black-owned movies." So they'll come to me and I'll say, "Yeah, sure, I'll support." And then they'll come to me with a budget that's like $800,000, and I'll say, "We don't have $800,000. That's hard to get." And they'll say, "Well, that's a cheap budget in Hollywood. I would get 5 million for a project." And I'm like, "Yeah, but you're not in Hollywood. In Hollywood they throw money away. In Silicon Valley they throw money away. So it almost seems to me that the structure of an industry that is in a different space from traditional, let's say what white folks do basically, that it's going to have a different way of thinking about things, a different cost layout, everything else. In a way, slightly similar. And although I wouldn't make the perfect comparison, but I think about even where Tyler Perry was able to really develop a lot of his own projects, which I don't watch hardly any of his movies. That's not my style. But I did notice that he really flipped the whole production process on his head. He said, "Well,
Right,
whatever they can do in Hollywood for $1 million, I can do it for 50,000." And
right.
I like that, right? So what do you think in terms of that? In terms of us realizing that we don't necessarily have the same money that white folks have. We got the talent, but we don't have necessarily the finance. It may take time to get there. What adjustments do you think can be made to help us overcome some of that?
Uh, well, technology is a big part of that. Obviously, technology has leveled the playing field in a lot of areas. Also, unity. Um, we have everything that we need in the Black community. We just have a challenge working together as a team.
Mm.
And once we figure out how to solve that problem, I think uh, we're going to be good. Uh, so, because I don't think that there's necessarily a lack of resources or intelligence. I think there's in a lot of instances we're really are very defensive as a people because our history and we really do have to figure out how to put the right people in the room and have those people make the right decisions. And the other thing is, in terms of the audience, part of what we do has to be have to has to have an educational component to it so that our audience has to understand that you may pay a little more for our product or it could be less. But there are going to be some unique circumstances surrounding the distribution of our product in terms of the method of distribution. We may not be able to go through traditional channels, iTunes and Spotify, and because these are infrastructures that we have no control over, and they're taking huge percentages off the top of our products. So if we want to really have that type of independence, we can't just be the producers. A lot of the money is taken into distribution. So Dr. Anderson had some of the answers in terms of really being able to control all aspects of the supply chain from production to distribution and all of those things. So sometimes we have control over production, we have control over creating the content, but then we're hurt when it comes to getting that out to the marketplace and into key markets. We have to really deal with these institutions that really will make the profit margins, very difficult for us. So, which is why I appreciate what you have achieved, Dr. Boyce. I really admire your work. I really admire the motivation behind your work and the vision uh, that you've that you've had in terms of providing leadership for building these black-owned infrastructures. And I know it hasn't been easy over the years, but I definitely salute you, and you're definitely on the right path. And but
Thank you.
we have to keep fighting the good fight of faith. I think we're gonna win in the end.
Yeah, I think we are too. I think we are too. And I'll tell you, you know, uh, you're right, 100% in my view about distribution. I remember when I first started doing any kind of content or anything. I remember how frustrated I was by realizing the hopelessness of realizing that in order for me to get my voice out, which I think my voice is legitimate, I know,
Right,
I know what I have to say. In order for me to get that voice out, I had to go through uh, gatekeepers who don't want my voice to be out there, you
right,
know. And I said, if they find out who the real me is, they're gonna block that at every available turn, you
right,
know. And I remember watching some of the scholars I admired. You know, I looked up to Cornell West and Michael Eric Dyson, and I thought they were great. And I said, but if those guys ever got too radical, everything gets shut down.
right,
Your book deal gets canceled because your publisher dumps you. Your TV deal gets canceled because the networks don't want you on anymore. No more radio show. That's all gone. No more
right.
speaking engagement. So you don't have the ability to make money. This is the essence of, in my view, this is a version of economic warfare
Yeah,
that black people, many of us are not aware of. You know,
right.
a lot of people that think they have power, I feel, are skating on really thin ice. You don't understand. If you say a couple of the wrong things, they can pull the plug on all of that quick. And
Hmm.
so when we started to develop our infrastructure with my brother, I said, it's going to take a lot of extra time to really dig these ditches, but
Right,
if we do it right, if we finance it in the right way, only use clean money. Clean money means money that comes from sources that are not going to shut down what we're doing, right?
right,
So honestly, I don't get a lot of. I've never gotten financial support from corporations and all that. And none of that because I know what comes with that. Yeah,
hmm,
I understand the nature. The nature. To me, I compare a lot of it to pimping.
right,
When the pimp is offering you money, you better not take that money. He's going to want a return on his investment. So the benefit to your point, I really think that this is something to consider. I think that I probably saw it a little bit more, maybe because I'm a business school guy, right? I was teaching at Syracuse at the time, and I started thinking about financial systems, and I started thinking about, and I'd like to get your thoughts on this. Fundamental questions I think we as Black people should ask ourselves, like, what is freedom? We always talk about
hmm,
freedom, but what does freedom look like?
hmm.
I think and I think we can recognize when we're not free.
Right.
Like if I get up in the morning and I want to spend time with my kids, but I can't because I have to go to work. Well, then in
Hmm.
that moment, I'm not free.
That's
If I
true.
if I have something to say and I know that if I say it, I'm going to lose everything, well, I'm not free. And one thing I realized, and this is why I love your project and I support it so much, is that one of, if not the greatest barrier to that freedom is that economic independence piece.
Right.
That lack of the ability to drum up the economic support we need, and also just not having the institutional infrastructure
Right.
that allows us to really get things done.
Right.
So I almost see this as the top mandate for this generation and beyond.
Right.
Acquire things, own things, control things, and don't just give up control because somebody comes and writes you a big check, because that's what they do. As soon as they see that you got something good going on, you got the Negro leagues over here and you're killing it because you got the best baseball players in the world. Well, they're gonna come
Right.
along and try to pick out your Jackie Robinsons and make you, and then you're feeling proud because you get to play ball next to a white guy. And so I'd like to get your thoughts on that. So maybe I'll start with that basic question: what does freedom look like for you?
Freedom to me looks like having a range of motion that is consistent with your desires. So if I want to go to California, I have the ability to do that, uh, uh, and I'm not restricted to just getting to Ohio. Uh, it's having that range of mobility and motion consistent with your dreams, your vision, your desires, so that there isn't this disparity or gap between what you want to do and what you literally can do. And so that goes for speech as well. I want to say something, but if I really tell people the way I want, what I feel, or what I'm thinking, I'm going to be restricted. I'm going to be shut down. I'm going to be demonetized, whatever. So having that limitation put upon speech is the opposite of freedom of speech. And I think we as a people really haven't really had an opportunity to fully participate in what is called the free enterprise system, which was supposed to be, in theory, everybody has the ability to freely trade and conduct commerce without a lot of undue interference by governments or third parties. Uh, that's really not the case, and so, the answer to your question, and hopefully I've answered it, thoroughly. It's just getting to the point where you have that flexibility. Those limits are taken off, and you can express yourself the way you want to express yourself, and you can achieve those things and go places, consistent with your ambitions. Um,
Mhm.
we got to get to that point where we have more freedom in our community and more ability to project power and range and really impose our will in the atmosphere that we're part of.
Well, everybody, I'm speaking with Mr. John Boyd from the Peace Industry Music Group. He has a new compilation album coming out, and can you give him the title, or is it too early for that?
But no, it's actually, we actually have the first compilation up on Bandcamp. There should be a link
Yeah, what's
that's available. It's John D. Boyd at
okay?
bandcamp.com.
Oh, that is that the link that Terrence sent me. Am I able to share that link with people in
Yeah,
the chat?
yeah,
Okay,
and
I didn't know. I thought that link was just for me, but I'll share the link now. I'll share it as we're speaking, and I encourage everybody to take a look at this. Mr. Boyd is a smart guy. He's right on top of everything, and he's just done an extraordinary job with his family. I mean, what they've created with Infinity Song, and I haven't even talked about how talented they are, and I'm not even going to do that because I want to focus on this new project. But let me just tell you, if you go look up Infinity Song, look up Victory Boyd, just in all the children and how talented they are, you'll be really impressed and really proud. That's the thing. I think when I watch your family perform, I'm not just excited and impressed by the great performance. I'm sitting there, I'm just proud. You and I sat next to each other at the All Black National Convention,
yes,
and I saw you. It looked like you got a little emotional when you saw your kids up there performing, and I almost felt, they're your kids, but I felt like a proud dad too.
yeah.
I did, because I know
Right,
how hard it is to get all your kids on the same page, to get them to really, really express their greatness.
right.
And I know, so I appreciate and respect how much work you put into that. And so actually, I want to ask you about that. But before I do that, and also I'm going to share this link in the chat so everybody can take a look at the project. I want to define freedom for everybody real quick. I don't want to miss that point. We were talking about freedom earlier, so I looked up the word freedom as we were talking. And here's what the definition of freedom looks like. So everybody who wants to be free, say yes in the chat if you want freedom. In order to find freedom, you got to know what it looks like.
Right.
So the freedom, it says here, is the power or right to act, speak, or think as one wants without hindrance or restraint. So
Hmm.
so the question to ask yourself is, can I do what I want to do? Can I say what I want to say? And can I think what I want to think? And if and I would imagine that freedom of thought is affected by, sometimes it can literally, we can literally restrict our own freedom of thought just by not having an openness and willingness to accept ideas other than our own, or
Right.
the freedom, or having a fear of challenging ideas that we were told since we were young. Also, it says that the absence or subjugation to foreign domination or despotic government. That's another definition of freedom. And so
Right.
when I think about foreign domination, I'm really thinking about people that are not in the B1 community who are
Hmm.
seeking to control us.
Right.
They can, they when you go to the BET Awards and they're telling you this is the culture, this is the culture, and they've got a bunch of toxic behavior, a bunch of dysfunction, a bunch of things that are embarrassing to black people, a bunch of buffoonery, guys that can't even spell their mama's name. They love talking about killing black people. That glorify dope dealing and disrespecting women. I look at that and I say that ain't my culture. But Viacom, which is not owned by us, just
Right.
said, okay, that's your culture. And we got to be real careful about that because if you think about Black America, remember in the 1960s, we were developing a pretty strong Black
Right.
empowerment culture. You had whether you're talking about the civil rights movement, what Dr. King was doing, or if you go over to what Malcolm and the Black Panthers were doing, it was all very empowering. It was all very pro-Black. We love ourselves, we love our families, we love our community. And then boom, they drop the crack cocaine in the Black community. Suddenly, the whole culture shifts. You go from strong families to broken families. You go from growing business and land ownership to just abject poverty. The children are traumatized. They're watching their friends get killed by the time they're 14 years old. And now you're in the second generation of having just literally a culture that was distorted by the activities of some other group of people, right? So I think that one of the things we have to do, and I'd like to get your thoughts on this. I'm not even going to ask a question. I just like to get your thoughts on this because I've spoken too much already. I apologize, but I almost feel that when we're talking about freedom and the freedom to develop our culture, there also must be some effort to protect the culture. I imagine other communities protect their culture. Like I can't go in and start a Jewish TV station and tell the Jewish community what their culture is going to be. I can't go and create a radio station in Chinatown and say this is what Chinese culture is going to be. So why in the hell can other people, excuse my French, sir, why can other people come in and tell black people what our culture is going to be? That's not right. They should not be allowed to do that. What do you think about what I just said?
Well, it's true. Uh, but the challenge is if they're the biggest investor, excuse me, and they have the biggest equity stake in that talent, they feel like they can control the content, and we have to stop selling uh, those valuable assets, cultural assets, to foreigners that don't really care about what we're doing. If you know that, you talk about my family, so I raised my family to really think about these things, and we have taken a course in the industry that's in some ways a longer and more challenging course, but with a mind towards preserving the integrity of who we are as a family, as a people, and from experience how I brought my daughter Victory just I think just before she was signed to Rock Nation to be a part of the All Black National Convention. I think it was the first All Black National Convention, and we attended three others. After that, my family's very much linked in and connected in with your platform, with your movement, and so that they can have that type of consciousness as their careers develop. And they're part of this project. Sometimes managers and parents don't plan that into or build that into the careers of the artists. So sometimes they go out there and don't realize that they're selling out their community because they haven't been forewarned and prepared for that conversation. I think we have to really get more involved in how artists are developed, and in terms of how they're really factoring in what is valuable, and that they don't just have a responsibility to themselves, but they have a responsibility as influencers of the community to really represent the community and the community's interests. And that's what this project is about. This collection is about really being an example and providing some leadership in this space. I've been blessed to be a part of the space and to have contacts in the space, influence in the space, and I've just committed to myself and to the community that for me it's not just about money. It's really about really protecting our interests as a community and passing our heritage and musical lineage down to the next generation. without it being completely destroyed. So we have to fight on all those fronts. We have to create great music. We have to do the business side, but at the same time, we have to fight off investors and people that want to come in and hijack and commandeer, black excellence, and
Mhm.
redefine it for their best interest. So if you
Yeah.
really go through the body of work, the album, you'll find, for instance, track number 4 is called "Black Faces, Wrong Places."
Mhm.
Track number 1 is an excellent song performed by George Huff, who works with Jennifer Hudson, called "Ebony." And there's a full range of music that I think your audience will truly appreciate as they go through this compilation album, and we're looking forward to completing the other parts of the album of the collection.
All right. Well, you know what? I'm going to pull this up, and I want everybody to consider going to support this project. I'm going to pull it up on the screen because I actually pulled it up, and I apologize, John. When you sent me that link, I thought for some reason I thought it was just for me, but now I know I can share it with everybody. So I'm really excited about that. So let me share the screen, guys, because this is a first. This is Black history right here because you don't see a lot of projects like this. This is representing the B1 Nation, and John is representing our people very proudly, and he and his family are at the top of the industry. And so you can see here, you can see the project here, and you can listen to the different songs. And if you go to johndboyd.bandcamp.com, and I'm gonna give you guys, I'm gonna put the link on the screen as well. You can
Actually,
actually take. Oh, sorry.
Dr. Boyce, if you don't mind, you can't. I don't know if you're technically set up, but you can share a little snippet of Ebony, or Black Faces, Wrong Places, um, uh, uh, with the audience. I think it just captures something very
Okay,
special.
you know what? I don't. The reason I don't want to do that is not because I'd love to, but
Okay,
it's like I feel like if I play it through my laptop, the audio quality is not going to be
okay,
what it truly is, and I don't want to misrepresent the quality of the great work you've done.
okay.
So what I am going to ask everybody to do though in the chat is give me a yes, give me a verbal confirmation that you'll go take a look, and I'm going to put the URL on the screen so you can know where to go. And just let us know, even if you don't want to, even if you don't have necessarily the resources financially to support, if you would at least consider it. So I'm going to put the URL up on the screen, and I'm going to say it also. It's johndboyd.bandcamp.com, and I'm going to put it up here. Give me 1 second. There we go. That's the URL. So johndboyd.bandcamp.com. So let us know that you're going to go take a look because it's very important that we become very conscious. We talk a lot about consciousness. What does consciousness mean? Consciousness is awareness. Awareness means that you are consciously doing the things that are going to manifest what you want to see, right? So why do I make that point? Well, because Black power doesn't happen by accident. Our excellence, Black excellence, doesn't happen by accident. John Boyd didn't just wake up and hope for the best and then have one of the most talented entertainment families in history. I mean, they're right up there with the Jackson Five. They may not be as famous yet, but they've performed in front of famous people, and those famous people were blown away. I was blown away. When I heard Victory sing for the first time, I'll never forget it. So this consciousness piece is really important because we have to consciously decide what we want the world to be. So power and consciousness are linked. Power, freedom, and consciousness are all connected, right? You have the freedom to go pursue power, but you must pursue it consciously, which means that you must decide what you want to see in reality and consciously create that. So I'm asking you guys, the reason I'm asking you to put a yes in the chat is because I want you to consciously go to this URL on the screen. It won't cost you a nickel. You ain't got to pay nothing but attention. If you get there are things you can buy. I hope that you can consider buying something, but if you don't want to, that's okay. Just go to johndboyd.bandcamp.com. Don't forget the D in the middle. It's right there on the screen. And just go take a listen to this album. It's the first of its kind that I know of, and I'm super proud to be associated with the project. And I'm also super honored to know this man. So, Mr. Boyd, did you have any final thoughts you wanted to share before we bounce out?
Yeah, I just want to shout out to you for your work, and shout out to Rock Nation. They've agreed as we get the project developed that they're gonna also be distributors. We appreciate Jay-Z for assigning 5 of my children, and and being really very conscious with respect to who we are, and giving us the space, autonomy, to really develop, without all of these pressures that some labels would put on artists to conform to what's going on in pop culture. Um, I want to give a shout out really to just all the team that is part of Black Team Sport Enterprises, the new company that we formed, the new label, and we have a weekly huddle every Friday, and the people have been very consistent, and people have supported the project financially, um, and really excited about the future. This release is very limited release. It's through Bandcamp because we're workshopping the music and introducing it in a limited way to your audience, and to our close audience. But we're very proud of the work, and it's mixed and mastered by one of the top engineers, literally in the world, who is also a friend of the family, and just great musicians. I pretty much wrote 100% of it, except the things that were in public domain. There are 3 categories in the collection. The first category is called Melanated Nation, which basically deals with Black consciousness, empowerment issues. We have a gospel music section, and then there is the jazz section. So this album has all 3 genres represented on it, and eventually we'll add R&B and blues, and on and on. All of the areas where Black people had something to do with the creation of that particular genre will be represented in this catalog. Finally, I want to give a big shout out to Dr. Claude Anderson and his work, his wife Joanne, and we're looking forward to supporting that family through some of the proceeds that will be coming from this project in the future. So, thank
All
you
right.
very much.
All right. Well, thank you, and thank you all for listening. By the way, and so the URL is on the screen: johndboyd.bandcamp.com. Go take a look at this great compilation album, and it's something you all have a reason to be proud of because it represents you. They're putting out music on your behalf. So let's show up and let's take a look. Let's support this because I think it's definitely worth putting our weight behind, all of us, because we know that we're going to win, but it's nice to have a soundtrack to the movement. So thank you all very much for watching. Hit the thumbs up button on your way out. Thumbs up, share, subscribe. I'll be back a little bit later to talk to you guys about what's going on with the markets and everything else. So until we meet again, God bless you, and we'll see you soon. And thanks a lot, Mr. Boyd. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. All right.
Thank you so much.